So today on Project Shop, we're gonna finally get on this big old stator. We had a bunch of stuff we had to do that came literally the same day that I picked these up. And as you can see, we pretty much cleaned out the shop. We were just overrun with scrap. But we're here for the copper today. We got this big stator. We have to finish pulling the copper out of that. We have these right here. A whole pile of copper and transformers up on the table, some nuggets back here to recover, and a mountain of transformers. Now, since I use the same pump, that's actually my first press transformer cracking hydraulic pump. It's set up on the stator wrecker. It's a whole pain in my butt to break this down and move it over there. So we're going to do all the motors first, get all the motors out of the way, do everything we possibly can with the stator wrecker. I have some transformers I'm going to try to split. We have this whole bin of other transformers and smaller stuff we got from the scrap yard. Big old stator, big old transformer. I'm going to try to split that with the stator machine, and a bunch of other transformers. If we can't split it, we're just going to cut it. We'll get it done either way. And we also have these two monster transformers. I'm probably just going to cut this with my 9-inch grinder and aluminum wheel. Not the safest thing to do, but it's how I've always done them in the past. And we got Steve over here breaking down this big old generator. Got a big nugget in there. Yeah. So while I got the stator wrecker set up on that big boy, hopefully he can get this out in time for me to cut this. And man, this whole thing here is aluminum. So we're going to get a nice chunk of aluminum out of that. Steve wants this motor. Usually these radiators are copper and brass, so hopefully you get a nice chunk with that. Yeah, so, and then the rest of this is just crap. Yeah, this actually, pretty much most of these that I get are good working units, but here's the problem, right there, the frame rusts out, all that crap there.
That is sit by the ocean.
And what are you gonna do? I mean, they've got good cases on them, but yeah. Anyway, he's gonna work on that. I'm gonna put a time lapse on him. I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna break out the plasma cutter, and I don't have a lot of oxygen and acetylene, so I want to do as much as I can with the plasma cutter, and then we'll see how much copper. We're gonna weigh this, and then we'll weigh the copper. There's a big piece of aluminum. I paid 35 cents a pound for these, so we're going to see if it was actually worth it, and pretty much how much time it's going to take me to break this down. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is weigh this and document how much this weighs and how much I paid for this thing. Woo! Pretty sure this thing weighs over 1,000 pounds. It's kind of sketchy picking this thing up way out here. What we'll do is we'll move it in a little bit. 600, 7, 9. Woo! She's teetering. Okay. I got 300 pounds of counterbalance back here. All right, we're just going to set this down gently. And then we're going to reposition our bar in a little bit. All right, let me set this down over here. Messed up thing is, I got no pin to hold that thing in. Pure friction holding that in there right now. Oh! Oh yeah. All right, we'll let that settle. I'm gonna go find a pad that I can keep track of all, because I want to keep track of everything that I got from the scrap yard, see what was worth it and what's not, so we know going forward what to look for. Okay, we got 1,189 pounds. I paid 35 cents a pound, so I would have paid $416.15. So that means we're gonna have to pull a lot of copper out of this to make any type of profit and do it relatively quick. So I'm gonna get this back on the ground. First thing we're gonna do is, not necessarily need to pull these bolts, but I do need to pull that and get that rotor separated. Okay, that actually coming apart really easy. I'm just going to take the jaw and cut this ring off, because otherwise I'm not really sure. Usually I just cut them with a grinder or beat them, but this cast aluminum, I'm pretty sure I could just snap with that thing, make light work of it. Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. I've fought with these things in the past. Well, we got a lot of pressure on there. I don't have to get in there. And yank it, crack it. Oh wow. That's really thick right there. I'm gonna have to put this over here. There we go. Tell you, man, you're scrapping on any type of Big capacity. A Jaws is the way to go. Look how thick that was, man. It just cracked it like it was nothing. Okay. So now we're just gonna continue on. I am gonna free that up. Much all this steel is going to go for prepared. I think I'm going to try the Sawzall. Last time I had good results with the Sawzall, it cut right through there, so I'm going to get my 110 Sawzall set up, and then we'll see how this goes. Okay, we are moving right along. I got one more coil to pull out, I think. Yeah, one more coil. So far, this stuff is actually really easy. The hardest part was actually cutting the end off. And those ends are some big old nuggets, man. Ugh. That's a huge little nugget of copper right there. So, the good thing is, I was able just to crack the end with the hammer and get it to slide forward a little bit. I did have to cut these off, the air chisel. I did try to shave, as you can see, I shaved one of these off. It's like a really soft aluminum. It's not cast. Funny thing is, earlier today I just watched a movie of a bunch of Pakistanis processing the rotors of electric motors that have all that aluminum in it, and it was very interesting to see how they got the aluminum out of the metal. It actually surprised me of how they did it, and it seemed pretty easy actually. I don't know if I'm going to sit here and cut all that off. I'll try. I tried with the air chisel a little bit in one spot. Didn't seem like it did too much. I do have to, I think I got a little bit of copper left on this one that didn't quite come off. I'll just knock that out with the air chisel. But let me show you here how this is going. Oh, these big coils here, man, there's some nuggets. We'll weigh all that up, and then you can just divide it by 4 to see how much it was actually, how much each coil weighed. Oh, and for these big coils, the best blade, I don't think the brand really matters, but this was a Milwaukee wood with nails, big teeth. It mowed through it. These little ones, they sucked. The Diablos, they were okay, but the ones with the gnarly teeth, you can see this has much more aggressive teeth. These big coils, it had no problem. It wasn't snagging. And that's the way to go on these. So for now, the bigger the teeth, apparently, the faster it is. And that was pretty much the hardest part so far. Let's back this up so you can see what I'm doing here. So, yeah, we used a ratchet, an air ratchet, a DeWalt impact, an air hammer, the cutter jaw, the spreader jaw, a hammer and a pry bar, and a sawzall so far. It's taken an arsenal of tools, but I think I'm only an hour into it. And we're just about done with the stator. Now, I could probably sit there and just hammer that off, but I don't want to do that much hammering. I can just hit it with the jaw. So I got to cut these little nubs off right here. Spreader jaw makes light work of this. Get down in there. A bunch of copper I'm missing. All right. This Harbor Freight air chisel has proven to be a formidable little tool. Oh, okay. That's just shellac. We got all the copper. Alright. I'm about to put a new end on this thing. I'm going to round up all the copper. We're going to weigh this up. Okay, here we go. One nugget. Let's see. Ugh. That nugget weighs 17 pounds. Let's find an end cap. Now, I don't know which cap actually went with which nugget, but 22 pounds, so we're gonna have over 80 pounds. Let me get all the nuggets in there. Wow, almost 100 pounds, 91 pounds, number 2 copper. So just that is worth $332.15. And if we can get another 90 pounds of copper out of that or more, what I say we paid for that? $416. So we might be able to make 200 bucks on this thing. Now that doesn't seem like much, but for $200 on one motor, that's a pretty good deal, man. And I'm only an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes into this. I am filming, so that does take a while, and I'm messing with the cameras. And I'm running out there and checking on Steve, so it's not like I'm just on this. And definitely if I was doing this every day, I would be constantly refining the process. Got a little copper in there. I might try and get some more of that aluminum off. Like I said, I cut down that one, and I mean, it's a nice little chunk of aluminum. I don't know if it's worth wasting a blade on, but hey, that wasn't bad at all, man. I'm telling you, that one blade made light work of that. So we're gonna get that out. We're gonna split that. The splitter's gonna make light work of that. It's gonna be, the longest part is probably just gonna be getting the stator out of that case right there. So I'm gonna clean this up real quick, get the plasma cutter set up. I'm gonna get a drum with a tear weight on it. All right, we got the stator off of that one Steve's working on out here. This thing has, seems like it's gonna have more copper on the rotor than the actual stator.
Look how little they got. This engine's choked off. That thing's tiny.
I mean, it's only supposed to be running at a certain RPM.
That's for a 3-liter V6. I'll bet that baby's a real powerhouse.
So he's got to get the bolts off of that,
yeah,
and then that'll come off, and we'll cut those. Those should come off pretty easy like that last one. I got the plasma cutter set up. Now this one's actually going to be pretty easy to get off. I can run 2 lines down there. Then there's going to be a couple spot welds where you just cut around. Usually there's like 3 or 4. This one is like that big Caterpillar generator where they welded these bars, but I see the bars are welded pretty good to the stator itself, but right here they're just tack welded out here. So what I'm going to do is cut around them, and it should free the case to where I could just split the case in 2 places. Once that's off, I can worry about cutting the bars off so I can split this in half. Now, if I thought that I'd be able to pull this in one shot, I wouldn't worry about that. I would actually just get these off, leave them bars right on there, cut the coil on one side. But these green ones, man, every one that I've done was super tough. Even that last one, even though I split it in half, it was super tough to pull that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these bars off so I can split this thing in half. This one's gonna split in half real easy. Unfortunately, this has got gaps in it, so this is probably single phase. This is full on. This must have been a 3-phase big boy thing. So hopefully we're gonna get a lot out of this. This here is just this is something I paid like 5 cents a pound for that whole unit. So it's worth getting this out, getting prepared for all that. I do got some new tips for the plasma cutter. I'm gonna see how it goes. When I got this thing, it looks like it was missing the end. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be something on here to keep this from blowing up. I'm gonna see what happens. If I start burning through tips, I'm going to have to make something to clamp. I might just clamp something on there just to kind of hold it off, like a 16th or something. All right, well, we finally got this thing liberated from its case. What a freaking job that was. That was literally just like the one that I did over with the Caterpillar engine stator. And then what we did here is, you can see some of these were welded all the way across and then tacked on either side. So what we did is, we basically just, you can see where it was welded all the way. We just ground on this side, put a big pipe wrench twisting it that way, so we didn't have to grind as much. They came right off. It actually worked pretty good that way. Now, the hardest part of this whole thing was these right here, and cutting right there. Now, when I had the torch was making light work of it. For what I have here, my torch is the best tool for the job for this. It was going fine until I ran out of oxygen. The plasma cutter is pretty good, but it was literally struggling to get through this. That's 1/2 inch thick right there, man. That's some thick stuff. And it's a shame. That would make a nice thing for a hammer mill. Hey Steve.
Yeah.
That's 1/2 inch thick plate.
Huh?
That's why I was having a hard time with that.
What?
Hey, that would make a nice hammer mill.
Yeah, it really would. You ain't breaking that shit.
Damn.
We're getting that big one.
That's way too big, dude.
No, it ain't. That's perfect.
Maybe one of them other ones. The problem is we can't get them out without cutting huge chunks out of it. Anyway, you can see I had to cut big notches out where they welded it. On some of them, because this thing was sitting there offset, I was actually able to come in with the grinder on this side and just grind into the weld. Now, if I would have had my torch, I could have probably got in there and melted the weld away. And that torch is a beast. I could have just blew right through that whole big, that's like a 1.5 inch solid stock. I might actually keep those. But a torch is definitely the way to go. I mean, I ran out of that thing, and then we had problems with the plasma cutter. I actually turned the air way up to like 70 or 80 psi. I was running 50 pounds at 50 amps. I was running what it recommended. It just didn't like the 1/2 inch. I think the 1/2 inch is just too much for that little plasma cutter.
No.
But I think a plasma cutter is actually, you know, for the most part, the way to go. Once I got it working good, I mean, I blew through a couple tips. Steve says I shouldn't be blowing through that many tips. You're just melting them, man. It's just, oh, also, those tips are from Harbor Freight, and they are 20 amp plasma cutting tips. I got that thing cranked up to 50 amps, so we're just like melting them. But whatever, man, we got through it. That there probably took me a good hour and a half, only because I kept messing around with the plasma cutter. We actually drilled out some of the tips to get more airflow. Now it's going to be pretty much downhill, and we don't have any more big thick stuff. Like the plasma cutter is going to blow right through that, no problem. I'll get that liberated in no time at all. You see that's all grindings and slag and all kinds of stuff, man. That was definitely a battle, man. But look at all that green glory right there. Now this thing does have something that I've never seen before, which is another ring right here. And I don't know if you just knock that off. I think I could just get that right off of there. Yeah, I'll knock that off so I can get a better grip on that. That'll come right off, no problem. Boy, this what is this, a 4-pound hammer? This thing feels like crap. Feels like I'm hitting it with a little framing hammer. Well, I'm gonna take a break and get hydrated. And then we're gonna pick this thing up with this chain hoist. I already got a strap holding down the I-beam on the other side so this thing doesn't flip back. And we're gonna get this up in the press. I think I need to raise it up so that I have, I'm probably gonna have to go up 2 notches so that I have enough clearance to put the blade in. I don't know if this is the biggest stator. I think that original green one that we actually burnt and set on fire in the back of the shop over here was the biggest one. And that Caterpillar one was the second. And this is right up there with that Caterpillar one almost. All right, we got it all set up. We actually took the jack, and if you've seen in some of my other videos, this thing rocks around because the way I have it set up, the base here is actually supporting this whole structure, where normal presses, this would be sitting on the ground and this would be sitting on there, so it's kind of backwards, so that it gets a little bit of slop in them holes. So we actually have it jacked up, so hopefully this thing's not going to move around. I got this thing in here solid, and I don't know how square we are, but we're just going to I think that's pretty good. We're going to lube the blade up. This is oil from the AC compressors. Get that thing well lubed up, and then yeah, we're just gonna start sending this thing in there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. First one's always tough, and it gets wedged in there. The oil really helps. Now I need to put a chain on that and pick up on this thing. Once I get the first one out, oh, there we go. Now it's pretty straightforward from here. Now, ultimately, I need to get like a roller system on here because this thing is heavy. And what I should have done is, while that was down in there, roll it back a little bit. Let it use its own weight. And then when we bring it all the way up, roll it into the cut. Always keeping that blade inside the laminate. Pushing it. Better lube it up. Keep it lubed. Man, I put another chip in here, and I'm pretty sure I know exactly when it happened. When I came across it where that weld was, and I watched it cut through the weld and pop. So what I'm going to have to do is when I see a weld, cut as close as I can and let the wedge part of the blade spread it open. So that actually went pretty quick, and I think that stuff is going to come out relatively easy. How nice that looks. Looks like I only got off one plate for that whole rotation, which is pretty good. But now that this is split in half, I'm only pulling through that, and with little bits of pulls and it just breaking that glue free, it makes a world of difference. A lot of people tell me, oh, just cut one side and pull it through. I'm telling you, with that hydraulic ram, which is no joke, and a 10,000 PSI pump, which is way beyond the capacity of that ram, this thing struggles, and it's kind of sketchy how hard it pulls when you're pulling through a whole thing. We literally had to burn these in the past before I had the blade. I haven't had to burn them, and I haven't had any real issues once I started splitting them. Now, this blade, this is what we got here. Look at that, another chip. And I don't think I can weld onto this and repair this. we're gonna make a new blade out of this big boy right here. That's about, I think that's 2-inch thick plate. We're gonna cut a blade, and then I'm gonna make a track for that to sit in. So it's just gonna be a dedicated splitter. And then we're gonna like weld, hard face weld the edge, or we might even weld an edge on there, something that could be replaceable, repairable, because this little tiny blade right here was $500, okay, and it's already you know, getting some damage. And someone left a comment in on one of my older videos where I was splitting these things, saying that they had a real deal Stator splitter at their job at the scrap yard, and it kept chipping blades. They bought a new one, it kept chipping blades. So I'm real interested. I think what I'm going to do is just put that on and put an edge on it and just see how it cuts. I replicated this before, and I watched it cut like butter through some stuff. How long the edge will last, who knows? But you're not really cutting steel, you're just cutting these little bits of copper. So I don't know, but for now we got the barbecue going. We got some steaks we're about to cook. What are they, T-bones? Oh, we got some corn cooking. So we're gonna take a little break. All right, we got this thing set up to pull. I want to get this knocked out because we're about to eat dinner, and I might probably cut this video off here. Might be low on hydraulic fluid. Yeah, I think we're low on hydraulic fluid. Wow. Whoa. Pulling the whole transformer sideways. You might be out of stroke, or I'm just not pushing down on this hard enough. Yeah, we're out of stroke. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to lower this down. We're not squeezing hard enough on it. Felt that. Wow. Pulling hard. But we're not even reaching 2,000 PSI. Pulled it right out of there. That's why we need a V block on the bottom. All right. Wow, that's pulling really hard. Well, that was inevitable. We just broke the jaw. Boy, we was putting some pressure on that. All right, well, at least we can weigh this side up and get a rough idea of what that was worth. We got, let me weigh this aluminum up real quick. Let's just say 10 pounds of cast. Pretty sure the rotor, if it's anything like that other one I did, the rotor is going to have more weight. £37. Now, copper on this side kind of looks a little thicker. Might be 40 pounds on here, but you have to wait till the next video to find out. Because we're going to cut it off here. 37.6. So we'll double that. Okay, here we go. We had an estimated 167 pounds of number 2 copper. I get 365 for $609.55. 10 pounds of cast, 55 cents, 550. Actually, I think that's 65, but we'll let it slide. And then steel, prepared steel, 1,012 pounds, 8 cents a pound, 80.96 for a total of $696.01 minus the 416.15. That leaves us $279.86, which for one piece isn't bad. Now, it did take some work, man. I mean, we battled that thing. If I would have had acetylene and oxygen, it would have been way faster. I mean, we probably spent a good hour and a half cutting that thing up. Another hour and a half. I think it was only like an hour on the rotor. That thing popped right apart. And then, you know, probably an hour I got so far, and probably going to be another 30 minutes once I fix my thing. So, you know, you're talking like 4 hours worth of work, maybe more. I'm filming, so it takes a lot longer to do things. And we just didn't have the right setup. So that comes out to like $69 an hour, which isn't bad. I think I could get that way down. Now that, you know, it's the second one I've come across with those beams in it, I got a better idea how to do it. So definitely a cutting torch. We can get this set up, you know, broke down. I think we can knock this down in half. And then once I get a big blade and I can split that in one go, and faster hydraulics, we might be able to do this in an hour. You know, maybe 2 hours, I don't know. But we're gonna dial it in, man. We're gonna get the process down. We're gonna be able to handle these big boys, no problem. You know, right now everything's kind of in the prototype testing stage with this. But each time I do it, I'm working out more kinks. We're getting faster with certain things. We're getting bigger stators. I mean, these are some big boys, man. And this side really does look like it's got more copper. I don't know why, but it might be another couple pounds on there. But even if it's more or a couple pounds less, doesn't matter. You know, that's pretty decent for one unit, you know, one motor, opposed to like a small motor like that. You know, you might only make $5, $10 maybe. You're talking about $279 for one thing. That's what I'm, you know, now that like my transformers, I mean, I know I do have a monster pile of transformers over there right now. Now that they're going away, and I'm not going to be, you know, eventually it's probably not going to be any of them. This is where I'm at, you know what I'm saying? I'm gearing up for these big boy stators. I live in South Florida, lots of generators down here, you know, so I'm gonna dial this setup in so I can go around and buy these electric motors from all the scrap yards, you know, and maybe even direct from the generator companies. Buying the whole generators, like, I'd rather get them like that, where we could just quickly cut it and split it and pull it. But if we got to buy the whole generator at, you know, 5 or 6 cents a pound, I mean, then that's what we'll do. We'll get the, instead of paying 35 cents or 25 cents, we get it for 5 cents, you know. And then we just got to get our process of breaking down the whole generators, you know. But hey, we'll get there. I mean, we got a nice little start and a good bead on it. So I'm gonna go eat my steak and then think of whether I'm gonna mess with this tonight or we'll just come back tomorrow, because we still got a lot of stuff to do, man. So on that note, if you come this far, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, because next video I'll be pulling this first. We'll see if we get more than 37 pounds. And see if our numbers go up or not. I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Dancing. You ever seen a copper dance before?